I am literally fucking speechless because I don't even know what my thoughts are as far as this whole situation is concerned with John Cena. So, as you all know, tonight was the final ever match for John Cena, the final ever appearance for John Cena as an active WWE wrestler. The night was largely built around the final match of John Cena. Of course, we had, the NXT against main roster stuff, but tonight we had John Cena against Gunther. All throughout the night, we see, legends come out here: RVD, Mark Henry, etc., Kurt Angle, just to kind of pay their wishes and their respects to John Cena for his final match here in Washington, D.C. They mentioned that it was about 19,000 or so, close to 20,000 people packed in for this Saturday night's main event. Probably one of the most successful events for Saturday night's main event. I would probably venture within the last year, ever since they brought the whole concept of Saturday night's main event back. And it was largely built around Cena against Gunther. And I don't really know where to even get started here, whether or not we should cover that first or whether or not we should cover the whole card itself. But we might as well get into, I guess, Cena and Gunther, because we had this match here. And going into it, I kind of figured that Cena was going to give us... I kind of figured that going into this match, Cena was going to give it his all, simply for the fact of this is his final match. So he's going to, essentially show us all what he has left in the tank. And Gunther, obviously, I figured, Gunther doesn't have bad matches, so I figured this was going to be an excellent match. And for the most part, it was. Obviously, there was some down periods here and there where we had sort of, continuous clotheslines. We had Gunther and Cena both attempt, sleeper holds. The whole purpose of this match was Gunther was trying to get Cena to tap out, to have him give up, because for the better part of 20 plus years, ever since Cena really became the guy in 2005, he's never tapped out, right? I think he's tapped out before the Benoit, maybe Jericho, Angle, but of course that was well before, he actually became the guy. And tonight, that was the whole sort of mantra of Gunther, was that I'm going to make you give up. And there's, numerous close calls with Cena, Avalanche AA, and AA through the table, through the announcer table. And, going into this match, I had figured, okay, maybe Cena could win, because I don't think that Gunther winning and tapping out Cena would be the correct option here. Boy, was I fucking wrong. But I figured maybe Cena could win, right? There's a slight chance they may realize, okay, we got to send the crowd home happy, have Cena go out as the winner and have him ride off into the sunset. Or if Gunther is to win, potentially have him just choke out Cena, have Cena never give up, have him just pass out, and then maybe after the match they shake hands and, we go on our way with Cena. Neither of those options happened. The most piss poor, the worst possible option happened, where literally Gunther has Cena in the chokehold. Cena nonchalantly at the end just taps out and gives up. And that's how we end this match, with Cena officially giving up on his last ever match in the WWE. Again, I don't really know how to feel about this, because there's two sort of, I guess, feelings that I have as far as this whole finish is concerned. My first initial overall thought was, what the fuck? Like, what? How are you going to have Cena give up on his last match? And that's literally what his whole character has been built around. Hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up. Like, how? Why? Why would you do that? That just makes no sense creatively. Why would you would have your top babyface for the better part of 20 plus years go against his whole moral system? Like, it just didn't make sense, and it still doesn't make sense. Like, why would you have that even happen? So essentially what you told us all was that for the better part of 20 plus years, never give up was bullshit, and you can give up here. Like, it just goes against the whole character of John Cena, the whole never give up thing. Like, it really, that was a terrible decision, I will say flat out. But then again, I also think, am I being too negative on this? Am I being a little bit too harsh on this? Maybe is Gunther actually the right man to have Cena tap out? Because, they've been talking about how when you go out and when you retire, you do the honors for the younger guy. You put over the guy that you're in the ring with. So I'm also like, am I in the wrong here? Am I just the only asshole here that thinks that Cena should have won, or at the very least, sort of had some sort of dignity on his way out? Like, I don't know. For him to just tap out and give up is just such a slap in the face of not just me, but the whole crowd there. The whole crowd was literally chanting, "Don't give up, don't give up." And he gave up. He gave up on everybody. So it's just like, man, what a shit finish to a shit retirement run. Afterwards, we had everybody come out from the locker room. The roster came out. CM Punk and Cody, they posed with. Actually, they let Cena pose with their championships. We had Triple H come out. This was the most interesting part of this whole thing. Triple H comes out here. The crowd immediately starts to boo this fucking guy and boo him relentlessly. I've never, during the time that Triple H has been Booker, I have never seen Triple H get booed this fucking loudly, and rightfully so. And, you know, there's a portion there as well where Cena goes and I think either hugs Triple H or handshakes Triple H, one or the other. And dude, this fucking crowd was fucking this guy up. And Triple H, with a smile on his face, ate that shit up too. Like, it's just obvious they don't really give a fuck what we do or what we say, because to them, we're just pieces of shit that just complain about everything. And man, that left a sour note in a lot of people's mouths, including mine. Like, wow, what a fucking terrible finish. They showed a little, you know, hype video, you know, career retrospect for John Cena at the end, which was very nice as well. There was a mention of Vince McMahon there, which kind of took me by surprise because I didn't, you know, think that they were going to mention him. At the end, Cena, you know, lays out his wristbands, lays out his shoes, walks off to the entrance ramp and says, "Thank you for your years of service." And that's how we end off Saturday night's main event. And that's how we end off, more importantly, the 20 plus career of John Cena. Like I mentioned before, there was no speech from John Cena. There was no sort of going away here as far as him actually giving the crowd one final send-off. It was just kind of all very abrupt. Again, I don't really know as far as this finish. Maybe in a few months, maybe in a few years, we'll get over it. But man, in the time being right now, how I feel this was probably the worst way you could have done this match, the ending to this match. Like, you could tell kind of by the crowd also that they were not necessarily expecting this. I'm sure like we would have expected a Cena loss here had Cena just, you know, passed out or something. I think we would have been okay with that. You know, it's not that I think the crowd hates Gunther necessarily. I think it's just the crowd that they feel like they haven't been heard this whole entire run for Cena, this whole entire retirement run. And especially now, it kind of climaxed here at the end where they really felt that way against Triple H necessarily. And as far as that goes, we also had like I said before, we had the NXT versus WWE main roster stuff. We had Cody against Obafemi here. This was, again, another case of the crowd was into this, and then they kind of left with a wet finish. As far as Drew McIntyre goes, I did make mention of the fact of potentially seeing Drew McIntyre here, but I made mention of the fact of maybe he aids Obafemi indirectly by just fucking over Cody. That was not the case. We got Drew McIntyre here get involved, and I would say probably the most, like, one of the climax portions of this entire match, where it felt like the match was starting to pick up steam. It felt like the match was about to hit a second stride, and then we see Drew McIntyre get involved, and then, you know, disqualification. Oba and Cody dispose of McIntyre and then pose off with no clear winner, no sort of direction. The only direction you get is the fact of Cody and Drew are going to feud again, which is, you know, if Drew isn't winning, I don't really know why the hell you're feuding them two again. It just makes no sense. It's just a waste of time for all of us. We also had Bayley and Sol Ruka, with Sol Ruka picking up the win. Like I said before, I kind of figured that Sol was going to get the win here. They seem to be very high on her. This was a fun match as well. And we also had AJ Lee. Again, AJ Lee is on Saturday night's main event. It was the team of AJ Styles and Dragon Lee against Leon Slater and Javon Evans. Again, this was a very fun match as well. Javon and Leon are very fun to watch. Very, I guess, athletic two guys in there with AJ and Dragon Lee. There was a spot here where AJ went for the phenomenal forearm but ended up slipping, which looked very gnarly. I don't know whether or not, AJ was actually legitimately hurt there or whatnot. He seemed to be fine afterwards, but man, that was kind of also very, early looking as well. Hope he, didn't sustain any major injuries. But at the end, we did get AJ and Dragon Lee getting the win. And again, I come out of this show at the end of Saturday Night's Main Event kind of feeling kind of a bittersweet moment. Like, it's bittersweet because John has been around for a long time and has been the centerpiece of this company for a good amount of time, for 2+ decades, and it's kind of sweet that he gets to go out on his own terms in a sense. But also it's bitter in the sense of this is not the way at all that I think anybody would have imagined his final match to be. But who knows, maybe you feel differently than I do. Sound off in the comments, post your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of tonight's finish, Triple H. Let me know your thoughts on anything whatsoever down below. And until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.